Welcome back, YouTubers, Rumble, Facebook members. This is News with a View, a Fat Cat production. I'm your host, John A. Costa. Today is October 16th, and if you're following on my channel, this should be episode either 143 or 144. If you're new here, this is a conservative-leaning podcast, but I do take in the facts given by both sides, and I use common sense and the Constitution and our laws to justify the Republican position. I'm not a MAGA. I'm a Federalist. Make no apologies for it. Don't hate everything that the Democrats do. Don't love everything the Republicans do. Just putting that out there. All right. Today we're going to be talking about the Chicago arrest of Debbie Brockman. And I think we've seen her get knocked down and dragged off. So some comments about that. Shutdown continues. Democrats, man, you are making every mistake you could possibly make. It's unbelievable. The voting right, the 1965 Voting Rights Act, getting realigned. And the DC attackers who attacked Big Balls, Doge guy, got a very light sentence, and we'll discuss that, but not the way you think I would. All right. Let's talk about Debbie Brockman. This is going to be a short video today. I'm going live right now as we speak. It's it started about 10:05 p.m. on Thursday, October 16th. I've been away for 7 days. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to take some more time off. Coming probably next week sometime. I'll try to get some shows out, but can't guarantee it. Is what it is, folks. So let's continue on with Debbie Brockman. WGN TV producer allegedly violently arrested by ICE on Friday morning in the Lincoln Square neighborhood of Chicago. This was last Friday, of course. This just might be another Jussie Smollett moment. We're going to wait and see. The videos show her being arrested after the alleged incident by ICE, who ICE states that she threw objects at ICE agents in their car, and as such was arrested, and she resisted such arrest, and that's why they had to restrain her, put her down on the ground, and wrestle her to the ground. In that arrest, she got roughed up a little bit. Her jogging pants or whatever she was wearing went down to her knees. And Brockman states that she was just walking to catch a bus to work as a producer at WGN television in Chicago. And she was shouting at ICE agents as they made the arrest that she works with WGN TV while being taken into custody. When she was arrested, she was also shouting to bystanders that they should call WGN and inform them of her arrest. Now, WGN stated that she was not on assignment to report on any news events at the time of her arrest, and she is not a journalist. She's a producer. Brockman said she was telling these people who were videotaping to contact the station so they knew that she wouldn't be at work today, or, that's what she said. And of course, there's nothing wrong with her making that statement to anyone. Nothing wrong with it. That, hey, call him, you call anyone. Not a big deal. Brockman was detained for 7 hours by federal immigration authorities before being released without charges, according to her attorney. Now, that's not an uncommon practice of the government to detain someone, sort out the facts, and then deciding on whether to make charges on a person or release them. Now, releasing them doesn't mean that they can't charge her after the fact. It doesn't mean that, haha, I'm out and you can't do anything. They could turn around and say, after reviewing tapes and taking statements, that we are going to arrest her. So, but so far, no one has, or ICE hasn't shown any videos of her actually committing the act. I would have to think that, she had to do something to get their attention. But again, shouting at them or calling them out and screaming at them is not an arrestable offense. Now, if she was charging at them, and as they said, if she was throwing objects at them, yeah, that's assault. Even though in Washington, D.C., they did not, the grand jury, and they couldn't arrest the guy. They couldn't charge him with a felony assault of a police officer. And that's the way the system works. They get everyone, the grand jury pool, if you've ever been on a grand jury, it's a little bit different vetting process of a regular jury pool. But it does say something about some of these states that said they won't, they're not going to go after these people, that they don't think there's anything wrong with that, which is a statement about what's going on in our population. And when you get people that say, hey, we know we have laws, you don't have to follow them. What do you think is going to happen? And I said, this is, again, the Democrats screaming, 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 and they go, we're about freedom, we're about the Constitution, we're about this, and they're not. They're not any of that. They disregarded the law on immigration. They disregard the law about charging people. They don't follow through on it. They don't do it. We've seen it in New York. We've seen it in California. We've seen it in Philadelphia. We've seen it in Baltimore. We've seen it in Washington. We've seen it all over. When the Democrats say we're about the Constitution or we're about freedom, no. They're on a cafeteria picking whatever they want. The pick of the day, not following the whole menu. So the Democrats are disingenuous, and it's showing. And if you think the people were mad in November of 2024, they're going to be even madder in 2026. And this time, Democrats, you got a lot on the table. And you keep telling your media and you keep going with that same old line. Hey, we're gonna win. Look at the polls. Yeah. Yeah. Going to the same playbook, making the same mistakes, and thinking they're going to turn out all right. You're not getting the donors. Big donors are staying away from you people as much as they can. As much as they can, they're staying away from the Democrats giving them money. You have your Bernie Sanders and your AOCs who go out to colleges and collect money, and they do a good job of it. And they do a good job for the DNC, giving them their cut, their VIG. Any of you gamblers out there know what I'm talking about when I say VIG. So they buy themselves a seat at the table. And they get to be heard. And the progressives, and you want to call them progressives, I call them democratic communists. That's what they are. Have taken over the DNC. And it's leaderless. It's just freewheeling. There's no one saying, this is the script, these are the words we're going to use, and they're measured, and we're all going to do this because this is going to get us to 2026, and we're going to keep our phony baloney jobs. There's none of that going on. It is such infighting on such a scale. I don't think it's repairable. And I think 2026 is going to be a key turning point where you're going to have the Democrats, moderate Democrats, who are going to vote Republican, because they just cannot stand where their party is going. And there's not enough time for them to ramp up new Democrats to step in and go, hey, I know you don't want to vote for that Democrat, and you really don't want to vote for a Republican, and you don't really have a choice of that or no voting, and I always say, always vote. Never sit back and go, I'm not going to vote because I hate both guys. Got to be someone you hate less than the other guy. Vote. Never give up your right to vote. And you have this swing, a dynamic swing, where a lot of moderate Democrats are just keeping their heads down low. They don't want to be called out. They don't want to have a problem with their own party, and they're not saying a word. And they're letting the extremists do all the speaking, which just means more of the stuff we've been hearing them say. And that didn't get them elected in 2024. What makes you think it's going to work in 2026? What is your logic behind that? And that's why I said the Democrats are leaderless, they're ineffective, and they're becoming irrelevant. No one is taking them seriously. You have a communist running in New York City for mayor. You have the DNC giving him 100% support. And, the other people are hoping, the other Democrats, the moderate Democrats, are hoping that someone steps up and stops the madness. And, everyone's saying, yeah, and they look at one, anyone going to say anything? No, lemmings, right off the cliff. And I'm not saying that the Democrats don't have some good objections to what's going on. They're not offering a solution. We hate Trump. Trump bad. Everyone's bad but us. You vote for us and we'll fix everything. Well, how? We did vote for you. And everything went to crap. So what are you doing differently? And the answer is nothing. You're not doing anything differently. Where the Republicans, honestly, after Obama really reflected, they looked at and they said, where did we go wrong? What did we not do correctly that, we lost 8 years? And the other 4 years of Biden, yeah, I'm not even going to go there with that. But of the 16 years, 12 of them have been run by Democrats. And you look at where we are. The crime, 32 million illegals. That's an estimate. We have no idea. We have no idea. And then you have the government shutdown. And all you heard before the shutdown from the Democrats for months, Epstein, Epstein, Epstein. That's it. That was your go-to moment. And then when the shutdown was happening, it was, of course, healthcare and Obama premiums, payments for illegals to get free medical, EBT and a Medicaid for people who weren't willing to work, or at least try to work. So these were all things that the Democrats were hawking about, and then now saying, well, we can't accept the budget. Yet it was those Democrats who signed on to the big beautiful bill, which spelled out exactly what was the Republican approach to addressing government spending. And then they renege. And that's how Trump sees it. You made an agreement, and now you're trying to get a second bite of that apple? Yeah, that's not going to happen. Everyone thinks that, the Republicans are going to walk and go give the Democrats something. I'm going to tell you right now, if this is not settled by Tuesday, this is lasting a lot more than a month. Because Trump hates when people renege on a deal. He can renege on a deal, but he hates when people do it to him, and he's always has the upper hand. And all these years of dealing with Trump, you have no idea. No idea. It's mind-boggling. The Democrats signed on to the big beautiful bill. The Republicans had even said before the shutdown, we're willing to discuss with you the Obama premiums, the subsidies to help along that way. And we're willing to give you a year. We'll give you a year. But we're not saying that this goes into the budget in perpetuity and forever. And that's what the Democrats want. And in the big beautiful bill expressly was against all that. And you have Democrats screaming up and down, this is about, health care and Medicare, but they already signed that away. And Schumer knew that there was a deal to be cut. When he signed that away, when he pressed them on him and Jeffries. And then you had your AOCs and your Sanders and your Warrens who screamed up and down about it. and made threats and got people on their side to get behind him, the squad and everyone else. And that's a problem. That's a problem. That's a problem for Trump to go, hey, are you the guy I can cut the deal with, or bring AOC in here and we'll to cut a deal? Who's in charge here? You know, hey, Chuck, who's in charge? If you can't make the deal, get me the person that can make the deal. And there is no one. There's no leadership. Schumer's hanging on by a thread, and he's not doing a very good job with it. All these issues that I talked about weren't even going to be affected in this budget. It would November 21st. And, this was a Band-Aid, on a 6-inch gash. And put a little Band-Aid across it. That's all this was. Stopgap measure, temporary financing, and they go in, in November we'd be all over this again. And now, what are we? Less than 6 weeks away from that deadline. And I'm going to tell you, Trump is going to play hardball, and he's going to bring the Democrats to their knees if this isn't settled by Tuesday. Then, to top it all off, you have these Democrats screaming, we're going to have a No Kings Day again. Well, do you understand, in 1776, we all agreed that there'd be no kings. Can you show me a king, please? There is no king. So, No King's Day. Why don't you call it Constitution Day? We want to celebrate the Constitution. And this is all about money, folks. All these rallies are about collecting money. That's what it's all about. Has nothing, no more kings. We haven't had a king. Maybe the last king you could honestly say could have been the case was Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who served 4 terms. I mean, he was as close to a king as you could get in our modern times. And then when the amendment was to limit the presidential term to 2 terms, that took away that portion where they could go, this guy could become a king. No, you can't. You can't. So No King's Day, it's not a lie, but it's what the Democrats have been doing. They create a fake situation and then a fake remedy for it, for something that didn't exist. And what gets me, in today's world, they think they're fooling anyone. They talk about Republicans being uneducated. They're uneducated. Yeah. We can smell. And when we smell crap, we know what crap is. And when we see crap, we know what crap is. And you guys are full of crap. The Democrats are full of crap. And I said in my other podcasts, if you followed them, that they had until the beginning of October to fix their house. After that, there's no fixing. There's no renovating that house. You're going to tear it down, and you're going to start from scratch. And you can't blame anyone but yourself, Democrats. And moderate Democrats, I blame you for not stepping up and going, no, we're not doing that. We'll support your position, but we're not backing that agenda to the hilt. We're not going to fall on that sword. And the progressives hijacked, and they didn't hijack it. They took it. And you gave it to them, Democrats, moderate Democrats. And it's such a waste of time. No kings. No kings. I never heard of anything so ridiculous before. No kings. And, you know, the idea, we can't have Trump take anything away from us. We can't do this. Yeah, guess what? The president can do that. And Congress and the Senate, they can do things to you that you don't like. Are they unconstitutional? So far, no. Illinois, Governor Pritzker, who is one of the wealthiest politicians to be elected, more so than Trump. And what I think he is part of the Hyatt hotel chain, heirs, and he makes a lot of money. But there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with what he's doing. But Illinois spent $620 million from the 2024 into 2025 on, guess what? Healthcare for illegals. In a state that has a budget deficit in the billions. They spent more money on illegals than they did on roads, food for the elderly, social programs. Did I say roads and infrastructure? Combined, gave more money to illegals for health care. $620 million. How do you think? You okay with that? People of Illinois, you think that's okay to do? Took it away from other programs? You think that's all right? California, even more. You got to start asking yourselves, Democrats, is this the right position to go to? Or should we be helping our citizens? Yes, I agree. You know, these people are here and there's a solution to that. But you're not willing to do that. You want to give them carte blanche. Not going to happen. Not, you know, in the next 8 years, that's not going to happen. The Democrats have no leadership. Just checking my time here. Have no leadership. Have no direction. And you're not even floundering anymore. You're going down for the third time. And you're not going to come up. And I think that, you know, everything you're doing now is going to be a waste. You have not fixed your house. And, you know, you could say, we're stepping up to Trump. We're going to stop Trump. What are you going to stop Trump doing? Honestly. No King's Day? That's it? Do you know how ridiculous, in reality, this is going to look for you people? Next, we're going to have No Ghost Day, followed by No Leprechaun Day. The Democrats are a laughingstock. And even moderate Democrats are turning away from the party. They're going, I just can't go down this road with you. You know, you had me up to this point, and now, no. You have candidates running for office who outwardly have stated, I'd like to see people shot in their heads and their children too. And not one Democrat has said that guy shouldn't be running for Attorney General office. Virginia. Not one Democrat has asked, this guy's got to go. You just, yeah, you screwed up. You wish you didn't say those things. You wish you didn't text those things, but you did. And I keep telling you, Democrats, that all this stuff is going to appear on ads for the GOP. Pelosi telling today a reporter, shut up, because she asked a question she didn't like. And she had to be led out of her own press conference by her staff. You had Bernie Sanders during an interview go at it with a GOPer in the audience, and the guy made Bernie Sanders look like an idiot, which Bernie Sanders is not an idiot. But boy, he came over, did not have a good look on him. And you guys have lost it. And you could sit there all you want, and you could have your riots, you could have your protests, you can go after them. And you can go after, ICE and... That's not stopping. That's not stopping. And I can understand them saying, hey, okay, these are the rules. You want God to play by the rules. But you didn't play by the rules. You let these people in. You didn't play by any rules. And I'm not saying that the ICE is not playing by rules. They certainly are. But the Democrats, you created this problem. You're the blame. The last 12 of the 16 years, you Democrats are to blame for the immigration problem. We had laws, and yes, the Republicans killed your bipartisan immigration policy, which was no borders. And they said, we're not doing this. But we had laws on the books that weren't even being followed. That's fine, you didn't approve this, but that's on you guys. I can get there and say, I blame the Republicans. I can get there. What about the laws that were on the books? Why weren't they being followed by the Democrats? You don't talk about that. You don't point that fact out. And you talk how you're going to take it back in 2026 when every major broadcast network is dumping woke, dumping that crap, and going, yeah, we can't survive. You think you stand a chance? You stand no chance. You have made your bed, and now you refuse to lay in it. Let me tell you how that ends up for you. You'll end up with no bed, no blanket, no pillow. This is going to be a full press by the Republicans in 2026 who have so much money in their coffers. And you'll be screaming about that, but no talking about Harris, who still hasn't shown what she did with $600 or $700 million. Still no discussion. What happened to that money? It got spent. Checks were written. People were paid. They were Oprah. There were people, actors being paid to go, I support Harris. Just like the fake paid protesters. Do you see everything the Democrats are doing is fake? And it goes back to what I said before. Fake, and then they come up with a fake solution for a fake situation. We see through it. We're not blind, we're not deaf, and we're not dumb. We see through it. And if I can see it, believe me, a lot of other people can see it. They might not want to admit it, but when they put their head down at night, they go, oh, jeez. Yeah. I just can't do it. I can say I will. Democrat. They get in the voting booth and then they come out, yeah. And they go, wow, how did he get all those votes? Everyone said he was going to lose. Oh, guess what? When you paid the poll takers to fudge the factor, everything the Democrats do is fake and a lie. Now that's a bold statement to say, and when I say Democrats, I'm talking about the people in power, not my neighbors who are Democrats. I'm talking about the people in power. And to brush them with one brush to say they're all. If you don't stand up and tell your own party, hey, well, slow down. And we get it all the time in the Republicans. Someone goes, hey, I'm not doing that. What did you say? Yeah, no, that's not happening. And you might not be happy with some of these people, tipping the wagon and rocking the boat. But you can at least say they're not clicking their heels. And the only Democrat that's doing that is John Fetterman, who the Democrats swore their allegiance to this guy and no, you can't touch him. No, he's perfect. He's wonderful. He's mindful. He's intelligent. He got over his stroke. He got over his depression. And now they go, we want him out. The Democrat, we got to figure out a way to get this guy out of office. And if I was in Pennsylvania and I was a Republican, I'd be voting for that guy. You know why? Common sense rules the day. And he has said, even AOC has told Democrats, don't do that. So they do it, and so she breaks away from them. And she goes even further left. Because there is no center for the Democrats. It's all negative. There's no positive. So, yeah. Even AOC was ones who said, hey, well, don't do this. Don't be so eager. Don't, you know. And this is what we're stuck with dealing with. All right. That's 40 minutes. Well, I've been bashing the Democrats. The last month, I've been bashing the Democrats. And, you know, I'm not doing it out of a bias. Though I'm a Republican, I do have a bias, per se. But I look at what's going on, and you're not making any sense. How can I defend? 90% of the things you're doing are just so haywired. And like I said, there are good things to discuss about health care for our citizens, and EBT for our citizens, and voting protection rights and things like that. I'm a believer in that. But we'll now go to voting rights. And you have all the liberal press going, it's going to be gutted. Gutted. No, it's not going to be gutted. But it will be realigned. And after 60 years, in all honesty, it has found its equilibrium. And now they can make adjustments to it. Just like they did affirmative action, they said, no, you can't take away his rights to give it to you, and then that person has no rights. And that's the same thing what's going on here. And you could scream one voter, one vote, but the president doesn't work that way. It goes by. Yeah, you make that argument. I'll listen to that argument. But for states and Senate, it is one person, one vote. And for the House of Representatives in districts, but they can't have special districts for special people. That doesn't work. That just doesn't work. And the idea that blacks are going to be held down or minorities will be held down, it's absolutely ridiculous in today's age. Not going to happen. It's not going to happen with the Republicans, and it's not going to happen with the Democrats. Just not going to happen. There's enough other protections built into the system to stop that. Now, during Jim Crow and later on until the mid-'60s, yeah, I would say, yeah, they was a very good possibility of them not having a voice. Though you had Adam Clayton Powell. You had a lot of, in the certain areas that they were able to get a foothold in only because they were given, you're allowed your own little district because you're black. Think that's fair? Think that's what the Constitution says? I think not. Now, that was overlooked in that time because it was necessary to happen. Because there was discrimination. And anyone said they weren't discrimination either is a liar or they don't recognize or weren't part of those times to see what was going on. So the Voting Rights Act of 1965 was a necessary infringement of the Constitution in a very narrow slice of the cake, because it had to be. There was no other way to fix the system. But after 60 years, like I said, equilibrium. It has come down. You don't need that now. Let the people vote. You want to scream democracy, one person, one vote. You want to make that argument for the Electoral College and things of that nature? Like I said, I'll listen to you on it. But you got to listen to me back. You just can't scream at me trying to, what I'm trying to say. You can't put that down. And you might have solid arguments, and I'll have solid arguments on the flip side of that. I'm a believer in the Electoral College vote. This isn't the episode where I'm going to discuss that, because it only happens in the presidential election. So it really is inconsequential. If you had a working Congress and a working Senate, the president's just a cheerleader for whatever team is winning. That's all they are. So, but we don't have a working Congress, and we don't have a working Senate. And that's a problem. And I blame the Republicans as much as I blame the Democrats. And that I'm willing to discuss with you. There are many things that could be done, and many accomplishments that can be had. But the milk is so sour that you can't even make sour cream from it. There's no salvaging it. So you're going to have one party that wins. There's always a winner in a fight. And that's why no one ever wins a debate. There are no winners in a debate. Each side claims victory because there's no victims piling up. But the way you win a debate is by persuading someone who is unconvinced of your agenda and then goes, yeah, you know what? That guy makes sense. That's how you win a debate. You don't win, both sides claim victory. I won the debate. There is no qualifier or quantifier to it except at an election. So be careful with that. Of course, anyone in the know, anyone who's watching this knows what part of the Voting Rights Act will be, realigned, and that will be the redistricting line, and that's Louisiana versus Calais. About congressional mapping, and that it gives one side an advantage over the other side, where in the Voting Rights Act it's completely says one person, one vote. And the idea of redistricting, and you have then Gavin Newsom who goes, I'm gonna energize all the states to redistrict, and we'll show you. Guess what? Redistricting in all those other states will just help Republicans. You don't understand. Redistricting, honestly, only is going to help the Republicans, won't hurt them. Now, this plan could give the potential of 19 extra seats. I mean, if everything went one way. And, we'll assure a 2026 that, the Republicans keep the House, the Republicans keep the Senate. Well, not so much the Senate, but the House. Because the Senate is just, everyone in the state, where the House is districts. So, thus the term representative. But that's going to change. And I believe that the amount is going to be huge. Even without this going into effect, it will be huge. The Republicans are going to take more seats in the House and will probably grab 2 to 4 seats in the Senate. And why? Because Democrats have no leadership. And, in 1965, like I wrote, the action was needed, the law was needed, the act was needed to offset the idea of racial imbalances in communities. But things have stabilized. Equilibrium. We don't need it now. The cause to worry about one side tipping the scales for the other side and those people never get representation is gone. That's not a worry today. And it's no longer required. And I'm hoping the courts make this ruling as they did with affirmative action years ago. Because all DEI is affirmative action with no law behind it. We'll protest the companies if you don't do it. And it was all fake protesters. That's why I said everything the Democrats did was fake. Fake. They created fake situations and then made fake fixes for it. DC attackers of Edward Korstein, remember, that's Big Balls from Doge, got probation. Now, they beat the guy up, they broke his nose, they tried to hijack his car. They didn't know who he was. It wasn't like, that's Big Balls. These were kids that have been in trouble before, trying to carjack this guy who was in the wrong spot at the wrong time. And teenagers beat him up and hurt him bad. And they got caught. And this was the precursor to Trump saying, hey, Washington, D.C. is out of control. And the judge who sentenced these 2 juveniles, and they never found the other kids. These 2 juveniles didn't know who those people were. And there was no pressure put on them to say, hey, I could send you to, you're 15 years old. I could send you to jail, to detention, and then when you turn 18, I could send you for 5 more years to big boy prison. Tell us who these guys are so we can, there's safety in numbers. If there's 10 people, you helped. Something in it for you. But they didn't, and no one did that. So the boy and girl, both aged 15, were put on probation on Tuesday and ordered them to stay out of the nation's capital with only few exceptions, of course. they have to go back for court dates, and if there's a medical emergency, there's a whole list. I mean, of what I would call a reasonable reason to do it. But when they did, if they needed to do that, they better tell their lawyer, so the lawyer tells the courts, and the judge knows. So they were ordered to complete a 90-hour community service project. And the court, the Superior Court Judge Kendra Briggs, who Elon Musk had made some comments, racist judge making a racist ruling. You look at her court cases, and I wouldn't say that. I say she is lenient towards juveniles who she came out and said, hey, my job is to rehabilitate. Well, not really is your job. That is not a court's job. That's not a judge's job. The judge's job is to dispense justice as prescribed by the law. Not to say, you go to jail, you don't, I like you, I don't like you. No. This judge is wrong in saying that. That is not her job to rehabilitate. She can show leniency and say, hey, you haven't been in trouble before, was this a one-time incident? We'll see. If you get in trouble again in this time period, all bets are off. So, in that sense, she could be lenient. But I would say that she's probably more geared towards that, of looking to be a little bit more lenient on those offenders. But there's other offenders. She just turns them right out the door again. I guarantee these two will be in trouble again within 6 to 8 weeks. They'll get jammed up. And they'll go back in front of this judge, and the judge, I told you, to keep your nose clean, to do this and do that, and you're not, well, you better listen to me the next time. And that will be it. Until one of these kids murders someone. And then the judge goes, I had no idea they would do something like that. They beat someone up and put them in the hospital. You don't think they're capable of doing that? Like I said, this wasn't some 14-year-old that was stealing lipsticks from CVS because, their friends all went in there to steal lipstick and shoplift. This was a violent crime. And they've done other things. And she has said, hey, you guys terrorized this whole neighborhood. Yeah, so I'm going to give you 90 hours of community service. Is jailing them the answer? If this is their second and third time in front of the court, yeah. You don't let a pit bull out that has bit people, right? Keep him locked up. I didn't mention killing the animal. You keep him locked up. And you have a judge that turns around and goes, well, I'm giving them a break. That's my way of rehabilitating them. What happens, Your Honor, when they're not rehabilitated and they hurt someone? Where does your rehabilitation come? Where do you get called out on the carpet and be responsible for your actions like you're telling these kids they have to be responsible for their actions. You see the double standard there, children? That's why I never vote for Democratic judges. I never do. This will be a, I guarantee you those two will be in trouble within weeks, not months, within weeks of being released. Because obviously the parents have no control over these children, nor do they care. You know. So this will be a problem again, and it will come up, and this judge will go, well, no, I gave them every chance. Did you give the person that they're going to victimize any chance? What about their chances? Oh, yeah, right, they don't matter. You think about that. All right, I'm going to call this. Everyone, be safe. Give to a charity if you can give it to a charity. If you can't do that, or you're not comfortable doing that, and I understand, give it to a food bank. Some extra cans, not expired food, folks. Buy one, get two free. Buy two, get one free. If it's something you're using and you get an extra one, every couple of weeks, bring it down to the food bank. And you go, oh, I only got 4 cans. I don't want to go there just with 4 cans. You know. Well, to someone that has no cans, those 4 cans look pretty damn good. So you think about that. If 30 people in your community did that, that's not 4 cans anymore. It's 120 cans. You help people. Say a prayer. Prayer works no matter what a Democrat tells you. And with that, again, today's Thursday. There'll be a Friday and a Saturday episode. I don't know if I'll do one Sunday unless it's commentary on everything that's going on. Then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, there'll be shows. But I'm almost certain from Thursday to November 2nd, there'll be no shows. And I'll put up those dates tomorrow on tomorrow's show. But for circumstances beyond my control, I will not be able to do it. I will be unable. So, after next week, probably, like I said, Wednesday again. And I'll have the dates up there. And I'm sorry, I apologize. I wish I could, but I can't. It's beyond my control. And those that do not bend to situations are then broken by those situations. So I choose to bend. Okay, with that, I'm going to say good night. Be good. Hello, Joey, Allie, Chris, Rowan, Samantha, all the kids, Bob in New York. I miss dearly. Alan, if you're watching, which you should watch, Alan. Love to have you on my show. Yeah, but you couldn't. You couldn't. You'd lose your job. So, Bob has no job. He'd be retired like me. So, all right. With that, I'm going to fade to black. I'll catch you tomorrow.